on. We have I feel like I say this every single week we do this, and when Jeremy does this, but we have a really, really exciting guest for you today. Every guest is special and every guest is great, but we very, very rarely have a guest that's sold over $100 million worth of products online. We very rarely have a guest that's, named one of the top entrepreneurs in Business Week under the age of 25. We very rarely have a guest that's like building schools and doing some really, really cool stuff. And although you do have competition, because you had Dan Caldwell, the founder of Tap Out, on, so to compete to who did bigger sales. He sold more T-shirts, he sold more online publishing, and we'll have a showdown. We'll have like a little pyramid going on. But Anik, so happy to have you on here today. If you guys don't know Anik, you really don't. I'm guessing everyone out here has to know you, because everyone in here they're an entrepreneur. They're hungry for education and knowledge, and I'm sure they've seen some videos, some talk you've done. But Anik, he's the epitome of a hardworking, hustling entrepreneur and marketer that took a different path in life and kind of went one path, saw that's not where he was passionate about, and realized when he was young that, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be a marketer, and failed a lot of times before finally making. I'll let you tell the story. I won't take all the thunder away from you because it's a cool story, but has hit roadblocks and challenges just like all of us, but has had some absolutely amazing successes and has just been on a home run streak of wins. Is rolling out an update to learn.com, which I'm really, really excited to hear more about. Is doing some amazing things in the nonprofit space, the education space, just so much amazing stuff, so many amazing synergies. But before I talk any further, Anik, welcome to Unicorn Nation. Welcome to the Unicorn IQ Hub. Welcome interview series. I'm super happy to have you here today.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure to be here. An honor. Welcome, everyone. And hey, listen, we talk about challenges for entrepreneurs. We're having challenges as we speak. Before we started, couldn't get the right camera to work, so this isn't the right shot, but whatever. I've been super under the weather, so I probably look it a little bit right now. But you know what? In the end of the day, right, most people on a day like this would have called out sick. But I don't want to. I just don't want to. It would be painful for me right now to call out sick and do what? Binge watch TV and lay in bed. So I'd rather be out here talking to you guys. And that's just the life of an entrepreneur. I think a true entrepreneur is someone who just loves what they do so much that they want to take every moment that they can to do it. So everything that you're doing for everybody in your Unicorn Nation, man, hats off to you for just always being out there training, teaching, inspiring. I'm so glad we have people like you in this industry.
Definitely. Well, you're looking great. I think you look good on the camera. I know it's not the Brio. We both have problems with our 4K Logitech, so it's Logitech. If you're watching this, anybody who works at Logitech and knows me at Logitech, tell them they need to get with their 4K team when it comes to live streaming, because it's a problem when it comes to that. You were talking about being sick. So let's start at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Let's go way back. Maybe not all the way back to when you were born, but but you were talking about the challenges of like dealing with, health issues, I'm sick, I'm not feeling well, but I'm pushing through it. You had an interesting story. I was reading about you when you were your first kind of win, like you were on a winning streak. I'd love to, after this story, go back to like how you got to that point, your family going kind of against that. But you were on a plane and you had to get taken off the plane because you were so sick. Tell us that story, and then let's talk about like health and entrepreneur, because I think that's a challenge. You bring up a good point, which is we want to keep working. We don't want to take days off. We want to take time off, and there's a risk associated with that, right? Of like not taking care of ourselves and pushing too hard. But let's hear that story, because it's fascinating, and it just shows how hard somebody gets pushes.
Yeah, and so I'm so glad you said that, because there's a good and a bad, right? So we can over hustle, and that is a thing. And so I'm still learning. Honest to God, I'm still learning every day. I wish I could say I've mastered it. I haven't. Of all people I know, I probably am one who should have mastered it by now, because I've been through some of the toughest of tough health issues. But, way before I became an entrepreneur, I was diagnosed with a condition called Crohn's disease. And, so I've had a lot of very hard times with it. I've had surgeries. And my one surgery, I still remember, they flew my family in. I mean, my sister flew in from the islands where she was going. They said, 50 if he wakes up again. It was a 9-hour surgery. I woke up. It was the toughest 3.5 months after that of my life. I had to relearn how to walk again. I had lost all my muscle mass. I couldn't even sit upright. If I sat upright, my heart would go so fast that I risked exploding, like literally. So this was kind of, the Crohn's disease had played a big toll in my life. And this is before I was an entrepreneur. So I actually think in many ways becoming an entrepreneur saved my life because it gave me something that I was so hungry and so passionate for that during some of the tougher times in my life, because I've been hospitalized way more times since after that, and I've had another life-threatening moment since after that. But the difference between the first time and the times after that was that every time after that, I had a reason to live. I really, really was I was in the ICU. So one of my funnest stories, and I'll get to the one that you asked about, is I was in the ICU so another thing happened. I had to go through another massive surgery, and I'm in the hospital, and I'm in the ICU. And what I did is I had my team members smuggle in a BlackBerry phone for me because I needed to get something done. I needed to get work done. I actually needed a product to launch, I had bills to pay. I had, a company to grow, and they snuck in a BlackBerry phone for me. So at night you could see, hospital bed sheets are thin, right? So I'd put a sheet over me and I'm there, but there's like a blue glow coming out of the sheet. And so the nurses would come in and say, "Stop it. You don't understand. You can have this equipment in the ICU. It's dangerous." And I was like, "I'm going to go crazy if you don't let me do something. Like, I can't just lie here." And now people are like, "Dude, you're literally like, you could die. Like, can you just take it easy?" And I'm like, well, that's the thing. If I die, I want to die doing what I freaking love. I don't want to die lying here like a log. So I remember the administration of the hospital comes in and they're all serious and they're like, "You have to stop this, blah, blah." And I started negotiating with them. I said, "I won't stop it, okay? And you can't kick me out of here, so I will be a problem for you. How about that computer right there? You give me 3 hours a day on that computer. Just drag it up to my, up to my bed. Let me have 3 hours, and I won't use my phone at night." And so I actually got 3 hours a day on the nurse's computer to just sit there and answer email and work. So in many ways, I mean, that kept me alive during that time, right? So fast forward. My business took off. Everything was going great. I'm traveling the world first class, speaking on stages all over the world, and I'm doing good things. And you know what? I just, at that time, I had the golden touch, right? The economy was perfect. The industry was perfect. Everything I did just worked. And so I was young. So with that came a little bit of arrogance, right? So as 2008 happened and the economy starts to crash and businesses are falling apart left and right, I'm in the process of hitting the accelerator and growing faster because I'm like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to build the next huge, Facebook of education. I'm going to go build a massive tech company and hire a bunch of people and build multiple offices. We had 3 offices worldwide by that point. I had, 96 employees was the max that I reached. And
how old were you then? Just for everyone to get context of that.
26, 25, 26, 27. Yeah.
Amazing.
And, so I'm on top of the world, and I'm watching the economy crash, right? So, and I'm like, whoa, it's not really impacting our space. So keep going, keep pushing. Except for 2010, bam, it hit so hard, and all of a sudden our revenues take a tank, and my expenses are high. I got 96 employees, 3 offices worldwide. I don't know what to do. So what do? I throw more money at it, right? Money I don't have. So I went from building a company from $100 to $10 million a year, having millions in the bank, being on top of my game, to being $1.7 million in debt by the time I was 27. And when I say debt, I mean legit debt. I owed credit cards, I owed banks, I owed American Express. My father mortgaged his entire home. He had paid off an entire house. He mortgaged the whole damn home for me. One of my closest friends, who was basically like my little brother, gave me his life savings. I owed all my affiliates, my friends, my vendors.
Everybody.
Talk about your phone ringing off the hook. $1.7 million at that age is at any age, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And with that, everything just started to spiral out of control for me. I felt like a failure. I was embarrassed. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get out of it. My lawyers are telling me to declare bankruptcy. I'm like, not happening. Who am I going to declare bankruptcy against? What, my father? What's going to happen to his home? Or my best friend who's got his whole life savings? Like, no,
that's a challenge. All your creditors and debtors are family and friends.
Exactly. So what am I going to say to them, right? And so I'm just, the stress is burdening me. My relationships are falling apart. My health is falling apart. And I'm traveling back and forth because I had an office in India, and I'm trying to resurrect things, and I'm trying to pull basically a magic trick out of a hat, and nothing's working. So what happens is my health deteriorates to the point where I start having a lot of internal bleeding. Okay, so I'm ending up in the hospital every couple of months. Well, I'm on my way to India to go to a wedding for one of my team members. And this is crazy. So, for people who don't believe in kind of like the higher power or something or angels, I mean, like literally, this was one of those moments in my life that defined. So I used to fly business class everywhere. I had tons of points and status with every airline. I'm on my way. So we have a layover in Amsterdam. And I get to the next flight to go to India. And they're like, sorry, sir, your seat's been bumped. I'm like, what are you talking about? My seat's been bumped. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, they're like, yeah, we're sorry. There's no seat for you. And I'm like, I'm flying business class. I bought my seat like a month ago. This is ridiculous. They're like, there's nothing we can do. We're going to get you a hotel room. You can only go tomorrow. That's it. So it was like no argument. And what had happened is on the flight to Amsterdam, I started feeling very ill. Like I could tell something was coming. So that night in the hotel, I literally was getting sick as a dog. I was sweating. I was white in the face. And so at night I decided, I was like, you know what? Something's coming. Let me turn around and go back home. Let me not go to India. Let me go back to my doctor's. I just feel like something bad's about to happen. So I booked my flight back. So next morning I get up and I can barely move. I mean, literally I was giving myself pep talks and motivating myself just to get up. And I would make my little markers for myself, like every 20 yards, like just get up to that point and you can sit and rest. Packed my bags, got into the airport. I got extra early to the airport so I could take a lot longer to get to my flight. I'm getting there, and I get to the gate, and the person at the gate literally says, sir, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I just need to like sit down on the plane. So they let me in, and I'm a little sweaty or whatever, and I sat down, and that's it. That's the last thing I remember. And so next thing I know, my eyes open, and I'm attached to a stretcher being taken off the plane. The plane's literally on like kind of on the runway, or it left the gate. And so I found out later what happened was whoever was sitting next to me, till this day, I have no idea who that person was, never got a chance to thank them. A lot of times we look, and I'm sure people fall asleep in a plane, like it's common, but somehow this person noticed something else was wrong. They waved the flight attendant down. The flight attendant came and tried to wake me up, realized I wasn't waking up, and so they waved the plane aside. Go to the hospital and discover I had bled out 40% of my body's blood. So had that plane taken off, I would be dead over the Atlantic Ocean. I would have gone into a shock. I would have gone into something, and there's nothing they could have done because that's an 8 hour.
You never found out who that person was.
I never found out who the person was. I asked the airline. They said they cannot give me the information, and I asked the airline if they would simply pass a note on for me, and they said, no promises, send us whatever. And I never heard back, so I have no idea if the person got the message or not. But that was, so what happened is I find myself in this hospital, right? I'm like literally in a ward. There's like 6-7 other people in here. Don't understand the language. The doctors are trying to figure out what's wrong with me, but I was so good at knowing what's wrong with me. I walked the doctors through my treatment. Now, all while this is happening, my parents are freaking out and trying to book the next flight to come to Amsterdam to be with me. And I wake up one morning and I'm completely like covered in pipes and all this, stuff that they've got in me. And I remember I woke up and something was entangled and I couldn't move my arm. Like I was trying to move my arm. And it was just by chance I couldn't move my arm. And I chuckled and I laughed and I said, I became an entrepreneur for financial freedom. And I'm literally can't get off this bed right now. I need to pee and I can't get out of this bed. I said, something's wrong. This is not what it's supposed to be like. So, luckily I recovered quickly after a few days. They cleared me to fly. My parents came, they picked me up, took me home. I landed at like 5 p.m. at home. And by 8:30 p.m., I remember I was at my mentor's house banging on the door. He had no idea, by the way. He had no idea what had happened. But he had been trying to tell me for a year, like, you got to pay attention, cut your expenses, cut back. I'm banging on the door. Now he knows 8:30, banging at the door, something's wrong. He opens the door. First things he says to me, he says, are you ready to listen? And imagine he has no idea the drama that's gone down. And I was like, yeah, I am. And so at that moment, I shut all my office. We went from 96 people to 6 people in the company, streamlined everything, went back to the basics. I realized I had become so arrogant and I had abandoned the simple system that was working and tried to do something I knew nothing about. I was trying to live the glamorous entrepreneur life versus the entrepreneur that creates value and earns what they receive. And it was a blessing in its own weird way, because it really just taught me about who I am and what an entrepreneur really is. It allowed me to readjust my life early on. But it was tough, man. I mean, I have been through some shit, excuse my language. But, at the age of 34, I tell people that by the age of 30, I have been through more crap than most people probably that are 70 years old. I've nearly died. I've had my best friends steal hundreds of thousands of dollars from me and connive and stab me in the back. I've had con artists in my life. I've had businesses fail. I've had relationship issues. I mean, you name it, I've had it all. But I got to tell you, in the end of the day, it shaped me to who I am. And now I face challenges all the time, and I won't be phased like all this time. And even today, actually at work, we had a big challenge. People are panicking, and I sat there cool as a cucumber, and I said, you know what? It's just, let's focus on the solution. So,
well, there's always a bigger problem, right? I think that's the amazing thing is like, as an entrepreneur, and I don't know if there's some feedback on your side. I think there's some echo going on. No big deal.
Let me try to.
It's good.
Yeah.
But what's amazing, we realized this with everything we've done the last few years. Like every problem seems like the biggest problem until you get past it and get a bigger problem. It's like until you get sued, when you get the first lawsuit, like you think this is the world's ending, and then you're in debt, and then the world's ending, and then you get through them, and then the next problem, it's not as bad. The next time, it's not as bad. What's amazing to me, though, and anybody watching this, like, I feel this is what differentiates the true entrepreneurs who actually can do this for a living, and the 99% of people who want to be entrepreneurs and want to start their own business is what you did, which is, I would say 99.9% of people that failed to the point where they owed, almost $2 million and were hospitalized and all that stuff would have just packed it up and said, I'm going back, corporate life's for me. Like, I'm not going through that again. But the true entrepreneur, the person that is like meant for this, just like there's no other path, right? It's like the only path for me is this. There's no 9 to 5. I'm not going to work for somebody else. I'm not going to build somebody else's dream. I have a vision. I have a passion and a mission, and I'm going to achieve it, whether I'm $2 million in debt or I have $10 million in the bank, or, I'm dealing with health issues. Like, I'm going to figure out a way to get through it. We'll get through it, and it'll be all right. It might take a month. It might take a year. It might take 10 years, but at some point we'll get there. And that's like, if you could take away one thing, people watching this from this interview, I'm sure there's gonna be a ton of things you can take away, but like that piece there is so critical. And you're like a walking, talking example of entrepreneurship and like what hustle and determination is. It's true. It's true. I mean, you got to see somebody else do it on a bigger scale to realize, like, my problems, maybe you owe $10,000 in credit card debt. Not that big when you need somebody that owes, almost $2 million to basically everybody they can, not just the banks, but friends and family. And that's a whole nother issue when you're dealing with, borrowing money from them.
And it's true. You know what? So when we got to the worst of times, right? So that same mentor who at one point, I think even he felt like it's over. Like, this kid's not going to recover from this. And so he came to me with saving grace. I mean, he came to me and said, here's a job offer from one of the companies that he was an investor in. They were offering me $250,000 a year. So just think about that for a second. You're a 27-year-old guy with a $250,000 a year job on the table. And with that job, I would be able to carry the debt of the most important people. So the family members and the friends, and my parents wouldn't lose their home, and I'd be able to pay off all of that and be over time, like I'd be able to pay the monthly payments. Mm-hmm. And I almost did it. But I sat back and I remember thinking to myself, I said, have I really given up? Do I really feel like I can't do this? And I remember saying, no, I don't. Like, I still believe I can get out of this. And because of that, I said no. I said no to the person. And I was scared. Obviously, I was very scared saying no, because I wasn't going to come again. And it's not like I had those offers lined up around the corner. But in the end, it was really me saying, listen, man, this is a decision I make for the rest of my life. Do I want to do my own thing and bring my vision to the world, or do I want to bring someone else's vision to the world and make really good money doing it, like great money, so much so that I may never become an entrepreneur again because I'll get wrapped up into that high income. But yeah, it was a decision, and I honestly today, like, I don't know any other way to live my life. Like, I genuinely don't think there's any going back for me. I'm always going to be working on something, as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think the feeling, other entrepreneur, it's you just know, right? It's hard for most people to understand that, but if you're in that world, it's like you resonate it with it at such a high level. Now, there's so obviously we only have an hour to talk, so there's so much I want to ask you, but on this theme and thread of entrepreneurship and how I think a lot of people wouldn't have pursued and would have continued. You're an education business. Like it seems like the theme of your career has been education. You've helped over 250,000 people, business owners, learn and improve their skills, which is incredible. I thought we had a good number of students, and you're like 250,000. It's just incredible. What do you think? I'm really interested to hear this. Like, what do you think the value is of a traditional education? And let me just preface this by saying, so my partner Jeremy, we're very opposite. So, he didn't take the traditional route, incredibly successful, built his first, company when he was in his early 20s, multi-million-dollar company, Forbes under 30. I did go to the traditional college route and had a great experience. After making some changes, I went to Emory University because I thought it was the best school in the world to go to. I hated it. Went to Babson, which is a more like experiential learning experience, best decision of my life. But I always like asking that question and getting your input on traditional education from an undergrad standpoint.
So it's funny. I just had an argument about this like 4 or 5 hours ago. We were so I was sitting with one of my vice presidents in the company, and he just joined a month ago. And we were sitting and talking to a recruiter who's going to be recruiting people for his team. And the recruiter asked a question and said, is a bachelor's degree important for this position? And I very astutely did not respond right away because I wanted to be respectful to this gentleman, and I wanted him to be able to respond to what he wants in his team. And his reply was absolutely. I want this person to have a bachelor's degree. And in my head, I kind of smirked. I said, I couldn't care less. Because I just don't see I've never looked at anyone's resume and even looked to see. I could not tell you if the very people that work closest to me have a degree or not. I have not a clue. And the funniest thing is that I have this story, with the same mentor who I was talking about earlier. He was starting a new company, and so he called me in and said, "Do you want to help?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And he's like, "I'm looking for our executive team. I'm looking for people to put on the team." I said, "Great." He had a stack of resumes like this big. Yep. He said, well, all I want you to do right now is I want you to take this stack and I want you to look through all of them, and I want you to find every person who has an MBA, and I want you to put it here. Make a separate pile. Well, it makes sense, right? Like looking for executives who want MBAs. Okay, got it. So I made the pile. I finished and I said, here you go. Here's your 2 piles. The guy literally drags up the trash can, takes the MBA pile, and just shoves it right into the trash can. I was like, what the heck just happened? And he said, I don't need any of that in my startup. We don't have time for that. Okay, we have to just go. That was pretty interesting. So here's my opinion, and I've had arguments about this with my wife. I've had arguments about this with everybody. I think if you're going to become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or something that truly requires a professional education, I think college is absolutely a must. I think the traditional route of education is a must. The system is created to churn out those people in those positions. Other than that, I just don't see the point. What did I learn in college? I learned how to work hard, hustle hard. I wasn't even in classes half the time. I was out building my business. Yeah. I got a degree in finance. I couldn't walk you through a trade if my life depended on it, right? I'm a marketing guy. This is my passion. I've become really good at what it is that I truly just loved, and I've become good at it because I wanted to, not because there was a test coming up at the end of the week. So I think education is tremendously important, but I think I use the term selective education. So let the person select what it is that they want to learn because they want to learn it, not because they need to get the degree at the end of it. Right. Well, and I think that makes a difference.
Yeah. I mean, the irony of the undergrad education is that like liberal arts, you've actually traced the roots back for like a Latin word for liberal art. It's like the freedom to study. And so the whole reason it was ever created, the ability to do that, was you came from a wealthy family and you didn't need a trade. You could go to school to learn. Like you had the ability to learn, you had a job, your family had money, and you can go study liberal arts. And it is interesting that that's been totally transformed. And I agree. I mean, I went to a school for because it was the best business school. It was number 3 business school in the world. It was the best school I could get into. It was a terrible experience. I luckily found the one school, I think, in the whole country that is like just for entrepreneurship, Babson. Like it was all experiential. Most of my classes had no textbooks, totally unconventional. Most of the professors were adjuncts. They were successful startup founders, venture capital investors. And that was the best decision of my life, to leave that and go there. But I agree. Like you learn so much by doing. There's very few things you can learn when it comes to building a business in a textbook or from somebody else's case. You need to go through those experiences of hiring a bad person, raising the wrong money from the wrong person, building the wrong I mean, you can't get taught that. But it is an interesting dilemma that we're in, because for a lot of jobs, it's still, looked at. It's unfortunately, there's a lot of industries where it's, I was initially going to go into the management consulting or investment banking world, and like, unless you went to Harvard, it was a crapshoot. Like, it was Harvard resumes and then everyone else's resumes, and it was just a.
Let me put it this way: I bet you there are, all the top consulting companies out there that you pretty much have to go to Harvard or Stanford or Princeton to get into. They probably wouldn't even look at me, and I bet you I can run circles around half of the people that work there, only because of the experience that I have, right? But all good. I don't have a problem with the proper education. If someone's going to college, good for them. I have no issue with it. I just don't feel like we're in the world where it's necessary anymore. I think that, and a big part of why I'm building Learn and what we're doing with Learn and what we're doing around the world even at this point is to facilitate what I think is the new day coming, which is more based around skills and based around mastery of those skills and how you master them, whether you do it through a traditional classroom style experience or you do it on the job while learning through a trade. I mean, it doesn't matter. One of my closest friends, Jimmy Kim, who's now the founder of SendLane, I met him. He was running a car dealership, and he literally worked his way from the guy that cleans the cars, to the GM of 2 car dealerships in 6 years. So he came to a dealership and he was washing the cars. And 6 years later, he was the general manager of that dealership. It's uncanny. So when I met him, he's the general manager of a car dealership, and he's tired. It's like he has to work really long hours. He doesn't want to do it anymore. Decides he wants to come over to help me. I was in some really bad times during that time, and I was just, obviously I was 1.7 million debt, didn't know who to trust. I had people stabbing me in the back all around me. Comes on board to help me, and probably for about 2.5 years, he learned on the job, right? He's just with me, and now he's a copywriting master, traffic generation master. He's learned how to be, he's a software engineer. He could literally code if he needed to. I've seen him do it, and he has no traditional training in that. And he's building a fast-growing SaaS company that is amazing. And none of that comes from any form of traditional education. It's because he had a desk sitting next to mine for 2.5 years. He asked a lot of questions, and from there on, he was just smart and went and figured it all out.
That's amazing.
And that's not just one unique story. They're all over.
No, they're all over. Yeah, there's so many stories. I would tell you,
I'm business partners with 4 people in 4 different companies. Now I have a degree. I got my bachelor's degree, and I remember when I graduated, I went straight to my father and I said, "Please, please, please, do not make me get a master's. Like, I know that education is very important to him." And he looked at me. He's like, "I gave up hope on that with you a long time ago. Like, go do what you're doing. I get it." But I have 4 business partners in 4 other companies. 3 of them do not have a college degree. Ironically, those 3 companies are doing the best. So the 4th one is being run by my friend. We always pick on him. It's only because he started it like 9 months ago. But yeah, 3 of them have a college degree.
Can you tell me before we talk about Learn, what the product was that you sold that had that $300 commute, your first basically sales when you were about to give up on your passion for entrepreneurship? Because you were in school, right? And you were, I'm going to do this. I need to make it happen. But you didn't sell anything for weeks or months and 18 months. And you went to bed that night and you're like, if I don't make money tomorrow, calling it quits. And you woke up $330 in the account. What was the product? What was the thing that broke through?
It was a software called Traffic Equalizer. Okay. It was basically black hat SEO. So I
remember those.
Like thousands of pages on your website. And spawn the internet, and you'd get like traffic within 2 days. You'd get like a barrage of traffic. And so it was by a guy named Jeff Alderson, who I'm still friends with till this day. And he created software. It was on ClickBank. It was $150. And it was a cool software. I started playing with it and learned how to use it through just hook and trial. I was making, I made a little bit of money with AdSense using it, like, $15 a day, $20 a day. I didn't even consider that money. Like, I never counted that. But because of that, like, I had learned the software, and so I used to be on this forum all the time for 18 months, right? I used to be that kid on the forum just asking question. Well, all of a sudden, this software blows up, becomes a really big deal, And so there's tons of posts on the forum where people are asking questions about the software. And I'm like, well, I know the answer to that. So I'm trying to help people out, like I'm answering questions. And that was when this, again, another one of those like angel moments where someone who till this day I don't know the name of, I don't know who this person was, messages me on the forum. When I put this notice up, I said, that's it, I quit. I'm done. 24 hours. If I don't finally make some like sizable money, I've been trying this for 18 months. I've done everything. I failed again and again. Like, I'm going to quit. I'm going to go the traditional route. I got some good job offers and stuff. I'll just go that way. And this person messages me on the forum, this private message, and says, kid, I've been watching you for over a year. I never chat on any of this forum. I have zero history. Can't see you quit. Like, I'll help you out. I'll give you 24 hours. You can message me as much as you want. We didn't have Skype and Facebook and all that back then. So I had to send him like private messages on the forum. And he's like, send me as many messages as you want. I'll reply to each one. I'll stay up all night with you if you want to. I'll help you. We'll make your first money. Like, don't quit though. And I remember I literally, it's amazing how one decision in our life, just one little decision, like one little pivot can make a full difference. Because 90% of me wanted to say no. 90% of me was like, who the heck are you? You're just messing around with me. You're wasting my time. And then 10% of me said, man, what do you have to lose? Right? Like, even if he is messing around with you and he gets the last joke, like a last laugh, who cares? So I went with it. I said, sure. And we were up till 3 a.m. and I'm messaging back and I'm showing him the pages. He gave me the strategy to use. And we use the software. So I put like a pre-sale page up. I talked about like how if you buy the software through me, I'll give you unlimited customer support. I'll give you my cell phone number and my email address, as I said. And people bought the software again, just to be able to get that bonus offer. I put the page up, and then all I did is on the forum, all my responses, I changed my signature file at the bottom so that all the responses I'd been putting up, there was a little signature with the link, and that was what happened. So I went to bed around 3 o'clock. I made a bunch of posts on the forum just to try to get like my clicks up. Passed out at 3 o'clock, woke up about 9 a.m., 6 hours later, ran to my thing, $330. There it was, right in the account. I mean, I'm 300 something, I literally was shocked. And here's the crazy part. That was when I was a junior in college. So it was 2004, end of 2004. Even during the toughest days of my life, when I was 1.7 million in debt, I've never had a single day in my life, not one day, where I made less than $300 since that day. It was crazy. It was like, talk about a breakthrough. It was just like, boom, I got it. And it just fit.
And that set the bottom. That's incredible. It set the new normal for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was awesome. So yeah, it was a software called Traffic Equalizer. It had a life probably about 6 more months after that.
SEO Nuke, and there was a bunch of those SEO tools out back when that was a thing. So the big thing now is learn, right? You're and it's not new. I want to be clear with that. Like, this is not a new thing. You've been in this space. You've been educating entrepreneurs for 16 years, 14 years.
Yeah, coming up on 16 now. God, it's like I'm like a grandfather in this space.
Which is true. A lot of people are, everybody's getting into the course space now, and everyone's a course instructor. Why did you create Learn, and what is it about Learn that makes it's so special?
Yeah, so, we're doing something very different with Learn. So why I created Learn was because I love teaching entrepreneurs. So it's a great business for me. I enjoy it. I have fun with it. I love teaching different concepts like email marketing, Facebook advertising, like yourself, copywriting, traffic generation, conversion tactics. I just love teaching that stuff. It's what I do all day long. It's what I study and research. And so I thought, well, I'll teach it. The name Learn, however, has an interesting story behind it. So it's LURN. And it came up during the time that I was trying to conquer the world, because what I wanted to do back then was build and I'm not even kidding, this was exactly my idea. And when I say it, you're going to say, wait a minute, I know a company just like that. I wanted to build a platform, a central platform where people could upload their courses and it would be available to the world. So it would be an LMS. So it was going to be the Facebook of education. And I hired like 40 developers and didn't know a darn thing about tech. And we start coding and we start doing crazy stuff, and it's all falling apart, and I'm in debt, and the code's not working. We're trying to get to alpha. Everything's falling apart and failing, and we don't know what the hell we're doing. And all of a sudden, one day, my friend text messaged me and said, did you see this? And he sent me the link to udemy.com. Yeah. And I looked at it and I said, bleep. Yeah. Shit.
That sucks.
That's exactly what I was trying to build. And it's 3 dudes sitting in a garage building it. And I mean, I had gotten so bad at that point. I was so messed up. My whole like business falling apart that I shut down. It wasn't even a matter of competing with them. I had nothing to compete with them. I had no code after 2 years and almost $5 million invested. I had nothing. That code had to be thrown away. It literally sits on a hard drive. I have one hard drive with that code still on it. It serves as a memento of what not to do in life. But that was where the name Learn came from. So abandoned the idea, went away, went back to just kind of like came back in through the personal development space, did some courses, usual stuff, build a funnel, let people download stuff or get access to these individual classes. And then about 2 years ago, I thought, you know what? I'm kind of back. Like I'm good. I've learned so much. I've grown as a CEO. I know how to manage a company. I know how to hire. I learned a lot about tech and got the right contacts now, got the right bank. You know, I'm out of money in the bank. I've got everything. Like, should I go for it one more time, build the next big vision? And so back then I was thinking about buying a domain called profit.com. It was available for sales and it cost me an arm and a leg, but I thought that's awesome.
What was the amount?
What's that?
Did you talk to Perry? What was the amount? Because I know Perry Belcher. He loves buying domains, and he told us some of the domains he's bought, and they're crazy.
Yeah. So the amount that the starting bid. So when we reached out to them, they wanted $500,000.
$500,000.
Yeah, and so when I spoke to the domain specialist, he said probably you're looking at $350 after the negotiations and all. And I literally almost did it. And I went into my, I went to see one of my attorneys. He was someone who had helped me a lot for free during my tough days. I still talk to him all the time, but it wasn't relevant to what was going on in my life. I just went to see him to have lunch and say hi because I was in the area. And he's like, oh, what's going on or whatever. And I was like, hey, I'm looking at buying this domain name and I want to start this like central platform with courses for entrepreneurs and all this stuff. And he looks at me, he's like, why are you buying a domain name for it? I said, oh, I want to get profit.com. It's awesome. And he said, that sucks. I'm like, really? He goes, I love your name, like Learn. Why aren't you just using Learn? It's such an awesome brand. And I was like, well, I do own it. So, you know, it's like 350, 400 grand. So we started coding a platform back then. So here's my true vision. You know, we go around saying we don't have a mission or a vision or anything like that. We have a purpose. Okay, my purpose is to build a transformational home for entrepreneurs. I think being an entrepreneur today is one of the most lonely things you can do. So we want to build a central community, worldwide connected network. Like right now, we built a 26,000 square foot center here in Maryland. It's got lecture halls, training rooms, nap rooms, audio studio, video studio, co-work space, kitchen dining area. And when I say lecture hall, I'm talking about a 200-seater lecture hall with built-in AV that can stream at a moment's notice, that can do events of all different kinds. We have 2 classrooms. And I built this because I want to build a physical home. And then I thought, well, if I've got a physical home for entrepreneurs, I want to build a virtual home. So we've built this really cool platform now that's in its alpha. It's not even publicly available, where we put 30 plus courses in there, and we've become a full-blown publishing company. So what we're doing is now we're going out to individuals just like yourself, and we're saying, we want to bring your expertise to our audience. So we've got Robert Kiyosaki, Les Brown, Bob Proctor, Kevin Harrington is now on the platform. We were speaking about him earlier. Damon John just agreed to do a course for us on the platform. And we got some other really big deals in the works. With what we're doing is going out to the top entrepreneurs and top marketers. And by the way, it's not just celebrity names. The person who did our influencer marketing course, no one will have ever heard of, but she's a nurse. You know, she's a mom of, 3, and she's killing it. She's one of our most successful students. She did a course on influencer marketing. So we've got the central platform where we have a tremendous number of free courses. People just come dip your feet in. We've got assessments coming out soon. So assessments mean, you say, you know what? There's so much noise out there. I can have an Amazon business, e-com business, email business, digital publishing business, a blogging business, an agency, MLM. What am I supposed to do? They all sound great. Well, we've assessments that are coming out where you would actually sit for 45 minutes and answer a bunch of questions, and the system will spit back out and say, based on what you've told us, here are the top 3 business opportunities we think that fit you. By the way, there's 3 free courses. Take these free courses first. Make sure you dip your feet in and then commit to one of them and then buy the academy.
That's killer.
So that's our assessments tools that are coming out. And then, of course, we have tons of free courses. We'll have courses that are $7, $12, $15, $30. And then, of course, we have $700 and $2,000. So that virtual platform is that central community. And pretty soon, over time, we'll start adding the ability for people to connect with one another in their local area, to create local meetups and all of that stuff. So That platform is currently in its alpha. We already have about 20,000 users in it, just kind of playing around. We have a ton of work to do, months to go of development, but we're really excited about literally the numbers that are coming out of it right now keep me up at night because they are so good. And we have so much work to be done. I can only imagine what the platform will do when it's fully done. But the purpose of it, provide a central place for education for entrepreneurs. You know, if you want to learn how to get more traffic, if you want to learn how to optimize your website for the search engines, if you want to, you know, learn which business opportunity is right for you, if you want to, I don't know, just want to connect with local entrepreneurs because you're down and you want to be able to talk to somebody, you know, we want to be able to provide that.
That's great. So how are you dealing with the accountability aspect of online education? I think that's been one of the biggest challenges, you know, from talking to, you know, like Mike Weiss and the guys that built Digital Marketers Education Platform and seeing the numbers behind like actually how many people actually complete a course online. It's insane. It's like 96 or 95% of people that start a course online don't actually complete the course. Yeah. What are you guys doing to help decrease that number and actually have accountability and increase completion rates and obviously then success rates?
So I'll tell you, I have a very interesting take on that. I have two answers. One is we're not doing much. Okay. And I'll explain why I say that with pride. Second is we are doing some stuff, but we're not really doing it to increase course completion rate. We're doing it to increase the kind of the fun, the excitement, the energy, and how much someone absorbs. Here's the deal. If you're going to buy a course and you're not serious enough to complete it, you don't deserve to complete it. That's my take on it. It's a very raw, like tough love. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to succeed as an entrepreneur, and I can't even get you to finish a course that you paid for, then we got a lot of other problems to deal with. And me putting a knick-knack and a trick and a little gamification or whatever, which we have, that's not going to do it. It's not going to take someone who at the fundamental level doesn't want to commit to something and make them commit to it. But
that won't be there in the real world.
What's
like that? There won't be badges and little tricks when they actually go to run their first ad campaign. Yeah.
No, the exact opposite. There will be people standing there to kick them in the ass. And so, you know, there's no one there to give you a badge when you do well, but there are tons of people there to remind you when you suck. Yeah. And so I'm not going to sit here and spoon feed entrepreneurs. Yes, I want to build a community for them, but that doesn't mean that I want to, you know, I can't protect them from the bad that is out there. So getting someone to finish a course is not my responsibility. Providing someone with an amazing course that's interactive, engaging, and that they walk away with having learned the most, that's my responsibility. So when we add gamification to our courses, when we study the completion rate of our courses, when we watch engagement with certain videos and styles of videos and all, we are actually not doing it to help people get inspired to finish the course. We're doing it to help those who are already finishing the course get more out of the course. That's our focus point. And so, yeah, we see the same problem, right? I mean, I run into students all the time at airports and traveling in places, and they'll say, "Oh my God, Anik, I've been following you for 3 years, 4 years. You know, and I say, that's awesome. Like, show me your business. Like, what are you doing? Oh, well, you know, I just haven't. I'm like, dude, I don't want to hear any of it. Like, there is nothing.
Excuses.
I was on my deathbed in the ICU with a BlackBerry that got smuggled in, working on my business. Until you top that story, you don't have an excuse. And I've been like literally known to say that. My wife will laugh at me at airports. She's like, "Can you just be nice and take a picture and let them go?" And I said, "No, because it's unacceptable. Like, I need them to step up their game."
Yeah, you're not doing them a favor by not telling them that.
What's that?
You're not doing them any favor by, you know, just not telling them that. You're actually helping them by saying that.
Yeah, well, you know, and I've met so many people. One of my closest friends, okay? So this is one of my best friends. He hates me telling the story. He gets all upset, but I love telling the story. So for years, he would, so there was a day, this all started like five or so years ago. I bought an R8. Like, this is my dream car. So I bought a red, beautiful R8. So of course, 2 weeks later, he shows up at my house. He's like, "Hey man, I really want to learn what you're doing and, like, you know, how you can help me. And like, I want a better life." I said, "All right, come on in." So I told him, "Here you go. Here's what I do. Here's this course. Take this, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Yeah, you know, can we just sit down and do it?" And I said, "No, I'm not doing it for you. All right. You get to go through the process like everybody else, but you get something that everyone else doesn't have. And that is the ability to walk into my house and have me review it for you and help you get to the next step. But I'm not doing it for you." "Oh, okay. Well, you know, I got this, I got work, I got blah, blah." "All right, here's the course, man. You do what you need. Come back to me." months would go by, I fall off the face of the earth. Something happens, and I'm traveling first class somewhere, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're going to Maldives for a week," and then 2 weeks later, again, knock on my door. "Hey man, I was kind of like, I want to rekindle that. Like, let's work on it, whatever." This went on for years. Okay, he gets married, and I love the guy to death, but I won't do it for him. There's no chance. I'm not going to. He gets married, and now he's having a daughter, right? He's having a kid, and so this is like stuff's getting real. And he comes to my door, and he's like, "I really want to, I want to save money for her and my wife, and I want her to work. I want her to be able to stay home." And I said, "All right, now you're getting like emotional and like hardcore with me. So walk in, because it's time to get real." He walks in, and I said, "Look, man, here's the truth of it. You're going to have to learn to give up your happy hours. You're going to have to learn to stay up past 10 o'clock when you're tired. When your wife goes to bed, you stay up till 12 or 1 and you work, even though you got to be up at 6:30 to go to work. You're going to have to start saying no to family gatherings on the weekends. And that's what it's going to take. I need you to go home right now, and I need you to talk to your wife, and I need you to actually come back to me in a few days and say, are you really ready to do these sacrifices?" Because the thing is, he's a brilliant person. He makes a lot of money. He's really successful, okay, super successful at his job. I said, "But are you willing to do these things? Because not everybody is."
Yep.
And you know what? He literally came to me 2 days later, and he's like, "You know what, man? I spoke to my wife. This isn't for me." I said, "Nothing wrong with that." I said, "But now you know. So now every few months, you don't have to kick yourself in the ass and keep coming to me and saying, I want to do this. Just know it's not for you." And the thing and I said, I asked him, I said, "What was it?" He's like, "I love my weekends. Like, I want to do what I want to do on my weekends. Like I don't want to give that up." And I said, "Brother, I haven't had a weekend in years, and I'm happier for it. We're two different people. It's just the way it is. Right? And so don't do this, because you'll be miserable doing it. And you may have money, but you'll be miserable. What's the point?" And so that was a conversation we had 2.5 years ago. And we've never had another conversation since then. So I've been really real with people too now. I say not everyone can do it. Not everyone should be an entrepreneur. A lot of people should be an intrapreneur. It's a new thing I talk about in my coming book a lot. Is there's a concept of intrapreneurship. My company we don't have employees. We have intrapreneurs. We have people that have a lot of freedom to go off and build and do what they want within the framework of our infrastructure. And then there's, people that are just employees, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a matter of, I always tell people, really think about what you want. And if you really want to be an entrepreneur, then be ready to do what it takes, because it's not all fun and glory. And there's between every home run, there's like 10 strikeouts.
A lot of strikeouts, yeah.
And you're probably getting hit in the head with the baseball too a couple times. So it's like, it's painful. People only see the good days, but the bad days are the what build up to
everything in between. Yeah, I mean, that's what's amazing is like the overnight success idea. Like, you only heard about this person because they're big now, but you didn't hear about them before they were. So it's just all this time people just assume that like Zuckerberg just like Facebook just appeared, and Uber just appeared, and these companies just appeared, and Tesla just it's you don't see the years and years or decades of living on a couch and working 24/7 weekends, sacrificing when everyone else is going out and having fun and socializing. You don't see those stories. I only got you for a few more minutes. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. You're such a great marketer. What are you most excited about marketing wise right now, in terms of what's your one or two top marketing strategies? You don't have to go specific or like give out your golden secrets, but for growing your business, growing your platforms right now, where are you seeing the most success? Where are you getting your traffic from?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm actually really excited about this concept that I've been running around the company telling everybody about and preaching day and night. They're sick of it. It's from selling to serving, I keep calling it. So it's this concept of, what's happening. So Facebook ad costs are going up, right? Yep. Google ad costs are going up. Advertising in general, the costs are going up. And people are crying and they're cribbing and they're moaning. I just had a session this morning with our traffic team, and they're panicking. Oh my God, Facebook ad costs, per click, this, that. And I said, you know what? You guys aren't thinking like entrepreneurs, because an entrepreneur doesn't sit here and panic about that situation. They look at the environment and they adapt to it, right? So I'm actually really thankful that these costs have gone up, because it's forcing me as a company to evolve. And now all of a sudden I'm working on this platform where I'm thinking in much bigger terms than just, cost per registration, webinar show rate, conversion rate, put $1 in, got $2 out, yay. No, now I'm thinking lifetime value, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day value of my customer, 1-year value. How do I get them in? What are they doing? What niches am I getting the best people in from? And it's made me super data driven. And by becoming super data driven, I've become completely self-reliant. So the thing I'm most excited about right now in the world of our marketing is that all of these affiliate driven and affiliate launches and all this, you promote me, I promote, it's gone. We pulled out of it in December of 2016. I could not take it anymore. I said, I'm done. And in 2017, the best thing I saw was that whole type of marketing just die slowly, because everybody is figuring out, hey, listen, you know what? Let me build my tribe. Let me take care of my tribe. Let me provide value to my tribe. And then let them buy courses they choose to buy from me. I don't need to be sitting here saying, bonus this and bonus that and blah, blah, blah. I can just talk normal to them, tell them the value of what I'm giving, and they'll buy it. So I love the idea of going from selling to serving. I think it's changing the world of copywriting completely. I think it's changing the world of selling completely. As far as traffic generation goes, of course, we still get most of our traffic from Facebook. We're crushing it on Facebook. We spent hundreds of thousands. I think last month was like $520,000 on Facebook alone. Now we're bringing YouTube into it. I will say this, though. I'm starting to see Facebook kind of, not be the central. It can no longer be our only source. Let me put it that way. I'm not feeling that secure anymore. So we are starting to really look outside of it too. But I really think right now we're in an opportune time for people to really focus on building tribes, giving a lot of value, a lot of content, making connection. And then based on that connection, being able to sell, it's increasing the value of the customer. It's increasing everything. But all of that wraps around become more data centric, start understanding, because marketing is actually fairly scientific when you get it down, and it'll repeat itself. It's cyclical. And once you understand data, it's literally as simple as just pouring more in, so you don't have to worry about when you're putting 10,000 into advertising. You just know your data. And that's how the biggest companies get where they are in the world. That's it. It's literally data.
I love this because I've literally have now talked to probably a dozen of the most successful marketers in the world over the last 6 months, and every single one of them has the exact same response as you, which is lifetime value is everything. And we're not like the people that can know that number and know that, hey, my only benefit financially isn't that first sale. It changes the entire way you can advertise and acquire customers, and your competition isn't thinking that way. So your competition is they're capping their bid, they're capping their ceiling of what I can pay to acquire a customer based on that first purchase. And if you know that, hey, my first purchase is 50, my lifetime value is 200, you can totally crush. You can take all the traffic away from that competitor because you're playing the long game. So it's great to hear. It was another person just share that.
It was like 7 or 8 months ago, I was at a mastermind and there was actually reps from Facebook there. And so we were, not really supposed to share all of this or whatever, but it's kind of gone in the public now. So, and they said, hey, this is a really creative way of saying, hey, we're about to jack up the costs on all the advertising. And they said, we want our advertisers to focus on lifetime value. We're adding a new, tracking measure inside of Facebook that says LTV. And I'm sitting there listening to that. I'm like, interesting. And everyone's sitting there listening. And it was like 4 or 5 of us who are like pretty astute with data. We caught on. We're like, that's just them telling us we're about to charge you 3x what we charge you, because we know that you're going to make a heck of a lot more money long term. And think about it. Facebook's got 6 million advertisers. Facebook's got 2 billion users. How the heck else is it going to grow its revenue? It's just simple math. Yep. They don't have more inventory, so they have to charge more. And everyone's panicking, thinking, oh my God, my costs are going to go up. And I thought, you know what? Thank you. Because I've been wanting to change my systems for the longest time. I've been wanting to go towards this LTV-driven platform where I know my data. And the best way to force an entrepreneur's hand in doing something is to put their money where their mouth is, right? So all of a sudden, now I knew I have no choice but to start getting my data better. And you're absolutely right. I just had a meeting a few days ago. We were talking about the Learn Nation platform and what it costs to get a member in and all of that. And I literally said to everybody there, I said, look, these members are worth a lot of money to us. As long as we can recover at least, let's say, half of what we spent to get the member within the first 30 days, we are going to be singing within the 90-day period, and we can own all of our competition. And seriously, my traffic team sat there. They're like, recover half? Like, are you kidding me? It wasn't just like 8 months ago we were saying minimum 30% ROI. And I thought, and I looked at them and I said, guys, the math is the math. The data is there. We know for a fact now that we are cash, we have built up this much cash in the company. We know we can rotate. 90 days is fine. 120 days is fine. But that's all we need. And that allows us to own the space. And so it's completely changed the way. So now I'm not, my first video you see of me on Facebook or YouTube or whatever isn't me saying, hey, buy, get this. It's me saying, hey, man, do you want to learn how to do Facebook advertising? Let me give you some cool tips. Or you want to learn how to make a great webinar? Like, let me give you some cool tips. And then all of a sudden, next thing we know is that person's worth probably 2x to me in the course of a year than the original customer's worth.
Yeah. Because it's a relationship. Not all customers are created equally. And I think omnipresence, playing the long game. That's why Facebook rolled out, they have this new journeys feature and analytics where they're actually now able to track the full journey across multiple platforms. Everything they're doing is like, hey, you need to start doing this. They couldn't hint it even any more than they are. Yeah. So that's great advice, great feedback. I know we have like 1 more minute left, but I think it was really important for me. You're doing some amazing stuff in the philanthropic space, in the nonprofit space. You've built 4 schools in India. Can you just speak a little more about how important that is to also have a mission along with your business and to give back, to do amazing things, to contribute?
Yeah. So first of all, it's actually in the next, I think 45 days, if I'm not mistaken. It's within the next month and a half. It'll be 9 schools now.
Wow.
So
Congrats.
by September, we'll have crossed over 1,000 children in Mumbai, India. My wife and I have partnered with a beautiful couple in Mumbai, India. We build schools in the slums, and these are young children who would all otherwise not be going to school, would probably be selling tea at tea shops. We actually have a very social work side to it. We actually go to each parent's home and convince them to put their children into school. But here's the best part. We actually get them to pay. So it's a very nominal amount, but those parents pay for their kids to be in school. So each of these schools that we set up are actually self-fulfilling entities. It takes us $45,000 to set it up, of which $5,000 goes to our administrative office to keep that funded. But that $40,000 that goes to the school, it will fund the school for the first 18 months, and every single one of our schools after that has become completely self-sufficient. So it needs 0 additional capital. And actually, this entire organization, once it has 50 schools, will be purely self-sufficient, meaning if it has 50 schools, it's actually pulling a profit out of each school, enough to be able to build 5 new schools a year. So we're taking that entrepreneurial spirit and bringing it into the world of nonprofit. I did a TEDx talk where I talk about how much I hate giving. I hate giving money. I don't believe in giving, but I believe in empowerment. So all of the nonprofit work that we're doing, it's all about, I'll give you this money now, but I need to have a return on it. That doesn't mean I need a return in my bank account. I need you to return on it in your bank account. But I don't want to fund something that needs to be funded every single year. I want to solve a problem by empowering people, not by just giving them stuff. So these schools are an amazing example of that. I'm so blessed to be able to see these children 2-3 times a year when I go there, and just an amazing impact we're having in their lives and what they're able to go on and do after they leave our schools. They go off to amazing other schools and they're getting an education, they're learning. Our schools are beautiful first-class facilities. Most of these children go home to, I'm not joking, a 10 by 10 hut made out of mud or cardboard. But when they come to our schools, they are in a first-class facility. That's not the only thing we're doing. So my wife and I also started adopting villages in East Africa. We partnered with a company or with a nonprofit called Village Enterprise. Love them to death. I don't believe in coincidences. I did my TEDx talk, and at the talk, I even say, look, this is just theory. I don't know how to put this into place. But this is how I think it should be done. Well, 2 months later, I was introduced by Anik to this organization called Village Enterprise. That's literally a walking, breathing example of the TEDx topic that I did. They go into villages, they adopt a village. They will microfund 50 businesses in that village at $500 a business. So I pay, it's $25,000 to adopt a village. But they have statistically proven over the last 15 years that every village you adopt, they will pull 1,000 people. By creating a microeconomy in that village, they'll pull 1,000 people out of extreme poverty as defined by the World Bank. So we did 2 villages last year. We'll actually be visiting one of them this year. We're going to do 2 more this year. So really for me, it's all about how can we use entrepreneurship to truly make a dent in the world. My thing is the day I die, whenever I do, I want to know that my work has contributed to at least 1 million children receiving an education who otherwise wouldn't. I don't care if they know who I am, or I don't even care if it was because of me. Maybe I helped an entrepreneur who went on to build more schools. I'll take credit. All good. I just want 1 million. I want that pay it forward to have 1 million impact on children. And I want there to be 1 million entrepreneurs who I've been able to impact, because that was my way of changing the world. I thought, what's the lazy way to change the world? I said, the lazy way to change the world is to build an army of others who can go out and do their share and facilitate them.
I love that. I love the big goals, and let's definitely follow up after this, because I'd love to learn how we can get involved. And both of those sound incredibly interesting. Just the concept of not just giving to give, but like and using your resources to build a machine that isn't dependent. I think that's incredible and super exciting. Well, you know, I really want to thank you. This was a great interview. We learned so much amazing insight. Just incredible stuff. I know before we did an interview, you said, I know you're in beta right now. You're probably still in alpha. You know, I know we'd love if you're at a point where you want more testers working on the platform, or you just want to, you know, eventually promote it. And we got plenty of people in here that I know would love to participate, provide feedback, and also, you know, join when it's ready to launch. So we're definitely interested in following up.
Hey, if anyone wants to join the alpha, I'll give them the link. It's just go to learn.com/register. It's the back door. So LURN.com/register, all lowercase. It'll ask you for your first name, email, and password, and then you'll get to go inside and see all the craziness and madness we've had. You will hit errors. There will be bugs. Please excuse all of that. We are still in alpha, so we are not even in beta for another 4 months. But yeah, we'd love to have you in there and check it out. But, keep doing what you're doing, man. I just want to take a moment to really say thank you so much for empowering entrepreneurs, for doing everything that you do. I've followed your work, bought your courses, love everything you're doing. I love what you've done with the brand. The funniest thing is I was, I would see all your shirts for Startup Drugs and all on my Facebook ads. And I was always impressed. I was like, oh man, who started this? I want to buy some. And I bought a few. And then later on, through a completely different string of things, I bought your Facebook course. And in that, you're talking about, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the guy who started it. And it was in the back. He used to have a little poster of a. But anyway, so great stuff. You're doing amazing things. Thank you for all you do for this community as well.
Well, that means a lot. That just that made my day, so I appreciate it. So there you guys have it. You got learn.com/register if you want to check out Learn. I'm sure we'll get updates from you, and we'll pass those along to the group. Love to have you back when it launches and do a much bigger promo for it. Take a look inside, because you're doing some amazing things. Super excited to see what comes of that. 20,000 students in alpha is crazy. So you're going to hit that 1 million person goal without a doubt. But on that note, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks, Unicorn Nation. We'll see you next Monday.